Berry Gordy had a problem in 1965. Diana Ross was supposed to be Motown's guaranteed star, the one who'd cross over, the one who'd make them millions, the safe bet. Then another artist walked into Hitsville USA and proved she could do everything Diana did, better. Stronger voice, more stage presence, equal beauty. And something Diana didn't have, the ability to make people forget there was a script. This artist could be spontaneous, real, dangerous in ways that made Berry nervous and excited simultaneously. Her name doesn't come up in Motown documentaries, doesn't appear in the official histories. Most people under 50 have never heard of her. That erasure wasn't accidental, it was necessary. Because Berry Gordy had already chosen Diana Ross, had already structured everything around Diana's elevation. This other artist threatened that entire plan, so Berry made her disappear, not literally, but close enough. Removed her from the narrative, minimized her releases, made sure she'd never get the push that could have made her huge. And Diana watched it happen, knowing this woman's destruction protected Diana's position. The artist was Brenda Holloway, and if you don't know that name, that's exactly the point. Brenda came to Motown in 1964 from Los Angeles, 20 years old, gorgeous, talented beyond what Berry usually worked with. She'd already had minor success on the West Coast, but Berry saw potential for something bigger. Brought her to Detroit, started recording her, released Every Little Bit Hurts in 1964. The song became a hit, not massive, but substantial. More importantly, when Brenda performed it live, something happened that rarely happened with Motown artists. People stopped treating it like entertainment and started treating it like church. Brenda didn't just sing, she testified.
Berry noticed. How could he not? Brenda had the thing he'd been trying to manufacture with Diana: authenticity, the ability to make a produced pop song feel like a personal confession. Diana could do that sometimes, but it required perfect conditions, perfect production, perfect material. Brenda did it naturally, without trying, and that made her both valuable and dangerous. Because if Brenda could do what Diana did better than Diana did it, then why was Berry investing everything in Diana? The answer was control. Diana was controllable, obedient, willing to become whatever Berry needed her to be. Brenda had too much self, too many opinions, too much artistic vision. When Berry told Diana to change something, Diana changed it. When Berry told Brenda, Brenda asked, why? That question was a problem. Berry's machinery required compliance. Brenda kept acting like she was an artist, not a product, like her input mattered, like she deserved creative control over her own material. Berry couldn't have that, not from someone who might threaten Diana's position. So Berry made strategic choices, gave Brenda decent songs, but not the best songs, gave her some promotion, but not the full Motown machine. Let her have minor success, but made sure she never broke through to the level where she'd become a threat. Brenda kept delivering great performances, kept releasing solid records. When I'm Gone, You've Made Me So Very Happy, songs that should have been massive hits. Instead, they were moderate successes. Good enough to keep Brenda under contract, not good enough to make her dangerous. Diana had to know what was happening, had to understand that Brenda was being suppressed, partly to protect Diana's position. Maybe Diana felt guilty, maybe she felt relieved, maybe both. The machinery that elevated Diana required other women to be pushed down. Florence within the Supremes, Brenda outside them. Both represented threats that had to be neutralized. Diana's success depended on Berry ensuring no one could challenge her.
Brenda Holloway wasn't stupid. She understood what Berry was doing, understood she was being managed rather than promoted, that her career was being carefully limited. She tried to push back, ask for better songs, request more promotional support. Berry would make promises, nothing changed. Brenda was caught in the classic trap, successful enough that leaving seemed foolish, not successful enough to have real power. Berry kept her in that space deliberately, close enough to think a breakthrough was possible, far enough that it never happened. The breaking point came with "You've Made Me So Very Happy." Brenda wrote it in 1967, a personal song about a relationship. She recorded it for Motown, released it. Modest success. 3 years later, Blood, Sweat and Tears covered it. Their version became a massive hit, went to #2 on the charts, won a Grammy, made them stars. Brenda's original version was forgotten. That's when Brenda understood. It wasn't that her material wasn't good enough. It was that Berry wouldn't give her the push required to make it massive. He'd rather let other artists have hits with her songs than risk Brenda becoming too big. Here's what makes it cruel. Berry could have re-promoted Brenda's version when Blood, Sweat and Tears made it huge. Could have said, "This is the original by our artist, Brenda Holloway." Could have used their success to elevate her. Instead, he did nothing. Let Brenda watch other people profit from her work while her career stalled. The message was clear. You're useful. You're not important. Know the difference. Brenda left Motown in 1968, walked away from the contract, gave up on Berry ever treating her like a priority. She tried to continue her career independently. Some success, nothing major. The momentum was gone the moment it passed. By the time she left, Diana was fully established. The Supremes were huge. Brenda's departure changed nothing. She'd already been neutralized. Her exit was a formality. Diana never publicly discussed Brenda, never acknowledged the competition, never admitted that Brenda's suppression had benefited Diana directly. Maybe Diana didn't see it that way. Maybe she thought both of them could have succeeded simultaneously. But Berry didn't work like that. Berry's model required one clear star. Everyone else was supporting cast or a threat to be eliminated. Diana got chosen. Brenda got erased. Simple as that. If you're drawn to the names that got erased from the official story, to understanding who got sacrificed so the stars we celebrate could shine, this is where those stories get told. The years after Motown were difficult for Brenda. She'd tried multiple comebacks, minor label deals, independent releases. Nothing stuck. The industry had moved on. Motown's momentum machine had made Diana Ross a household name. Without that machine, Brenda couldn't compete. Not because she lacked talent, because success requires more than talent. Requires timing, resources, institutional support. Brenda had proven she had the talent. Berry had proven she wouldn't get the support. Contemporary recognition of Brenda Holloway is growing. Music historians cite her as one of Motown's underrated artists. Her recordings get reissued. Critics praise her vocal ability and emotional depth. But recognition decades later doesn't change what happened. Doesn't give her the career she deserved. Doesn't compensate for watching Diana Ross get everything Brenda could have been. The appreciation is real, but also inadequate. Acknowledgement without justice. The Brenda Holloway story reveals how the machinery actually worked. It wasn't enough for Berry to elevate Diana. He had to actively suppress anyone who might challenge her. Florence within the Supremes, Brenda outside them. The pattern was consistent. Identify the threat, neutralize it, protect the chosen one. Diana's elevation required other women's destruction. That's not a metaphor, that's mechanism. Diana had to know, had to understand that her position was secured partly through eliminating competition. Maybe she told herself it wasn't her responsibility, that she was just doing her job and Berry was doing his. All true. Also insufficient, because Diana benefited directly from those decisions. Saying, "I didn't make those choices," doesn't change that Diana's career depended on those choices being made. The question is whether Diana should have resisted, whether she should have demanded Berry's support of the female artist equally, whether she should have used her position to advocate for Brenda and Florence and all the others. These questions don't have simple answers, because Diana resisting might have just gotten Diana replaced. Berry's machinery didn't require Diana specifically. It required someone willing to play the role Berry defined. Diana played it. Someone else would have if she hadn't. But that doesn't absolve Diana completely. Because at some point, success built on others' erasure creates a moral obligation. You don't have to refuse success, but you should acknowledge what it cost. Who paid the price? Whose destruction made your elevation possible? Diana rarely does that. Rarely acknowledges the women whose suppression protected her position. The silence feels like denial, like pretending her success was purely earned, when it was also constructed through the systematic elimination of threats. Brenda Holloway's talent never went away. What changed was Berry's willingness to support it. And that reveals everything. If talent determined success, Brenda should have been as big as Diana. She wasn't. Not because Diana was better, because Berry chose Diana. The contemporary music industry still works this way, still elevates one woman by suppressing others, still creates artificial scarcity that makes female artists compete for limited slots, still requires some women to fail so others can succeed. Brenda's story should have changed that. Instead, it became another cautionary tale, another name that got erased, another reminder that talent isn't enough if the machinery decides to destroy you. Diana's 80 now, still performing, still celebrated, still treated as an icon. Brenda's 78, still alive, still largely forgotten. Both women had the talent. Only one got the machinery's support. That difference determined everything. And Diana got to be the one who survived and thrived, while women like Brenda got erased from the narrative. That's Diana's legacy too. Not just what she achieved, but what her achievement required from others. Berry Gordy would say he made the right business decision, that Diana was the more marketable artist, that focusing resources on one clear star was smart strategy, that Brenda was talented, but Diana was special. All of that might be true, but it's also true that Berry's decision destroyed Brenda's career before it could reach its potential, that his strategy required treating human beings as interchangeable products, that his right business decision left wreckage of women who deserved better. Diana would probably say she didn't know, that she was focused on her own career, that what Berry did with other artists wasn't her concern or responsibility. Also possibly true, also inadequate, because Diana benefited directly from that system. Her ignorance, if real, was convenient. Her lack of concern, if true, was self-serving. Not knowing doesn't mean not responsible, when the not knowing protected you from having to care. The hardest question is what Diana should have done differently. Should she have refused success unless Berry supported other female artists equally? That's asking a lot, maybe asking too much. Should she have at least acknowledged what her success cost, used her later power to advocate for artists like Brenda, given credit where credit was due? That seems more reasonable. And Diana did none of it, just took the position Berry gave her and acted like it was purely earned, like no one was destroyed to make space for her elevation. Brenda Holloway deserved a career as big as Diana's, deserved the full Motown machine behind her, deserved to be remembered as the artist who made people cry with every little bit hurts. Instead, she's a footnote, a what if, a name serious Motown fans know, but casual listeners don't. That erasure was deliberate, systematic, necessary for Diana Ross to become Diana Ross. The music survives. Brenda's recordings still exist. You can hear what Berry suppressed.
the talent that threatened Diana's position, the voice that could have been massive if the machinery had supported it. Listening to Brenda now feels like discovering alternate history. The career that should have happened, the star who deserved to shine, the woman Berry Gordy erased to protect his investment in Diana Ross. Maybe Diana thinks about Brenda sometimes. Maybe she regrets not using her power to help. Or maybe she never thinks about Brenda at all. The not knowing is its own answer. Because if Diana doesn't think about the women whose erasure enabled her success, that says everything about how she understands her own legacy. As purely achievement, without cost, without casualties, without the machinery that required some women to disappear so one woman could become immortal. Brenda Holloway threatened Diana's place, so Berry Gordy made her disappear. Not from the planet, from the narrative, from the story of Motown's success. That's power. The power to decide who gets remembered, who gets erased. Diana Ross became a legend partly because Berry Gordy made sure Brenda Holloway became a footnote. That's the truth Diana won't discuss. The price of Diana's immortality was other women's erasure. There are names that were deliberately erased from the story, voices that threaten the official narrative. If you're the kind of person who needs to know who got disappeared and why, who listens for the silences in the official history, you found where those absences get named.